We haven't seen it.
We're just starting.
Oh,
So, sorry.
So I'd like to welcome everyone and call this meeting of the Eastern Essex District of Department of Veteran Services to order. I want to thank everyone for your attendance tonight. And I think we have quite a few items on the agenda. So why don't we just move through them and go through them. The first is citizens query. I don't see any guests here, so we'll move on to the second one, which is minutes. I know there were some minutes emailed around, but are there any comments on those minutes?
Yeah, I had some just typographical edits. So, and I have red lines here, so I don't, Cindy's not here.
Cindy's not here, so maybe you could pass your edits on to Cindy, and
Yes.
we could push through them on a second review on the next meeting. Does that make sense?
Yeah. On the October 4th minutes, those are the ones that I think Karen Bell took. Or did you?
So,
recreate those?
those are the ones we took off the video.
Okay, because under attendees, I put the committee members at the top and then other people that joined us, I do that, but I don't know who Bill parentheses Tommy, that Vietnam veteran is. I had no idea who that was.
Prices.
So I don't know, and then.
Did we give him an award that evening? Was it?
I don't know, it says Bill, and then it says in parentheses, Tommy, comma, Vietnam veteran.
I don't think you put them. I don't think you put anyone except the board and,
Yeah, I mean, that's why I moved the board members up to the top. So, yeah, the other than that, it's just typographical stuff, like the spelling of my last name.
Oh, well, that was quad, that was so we had the AI software read the transcript from the video that we had, and
Okay.
it just had transcribed, so that could have been.
So I can get those, maybe we can get them, maybe next meeting.
Yeah, and quad's not perfect, but it
No.
does take all the audio from the video.
I didn't know,
Yeah,
I didn't know, I could probably watch the meeting too.
yeah, we have it.
See. Okay.
Okay, anything else on minutes? Okay, so there were some emailed around. If you have any comments, bring them to the next meeting, and we will get them into the record and get everyone full vetted. Financials. Karen, thank you for your diligence as always. How are we doing financially?
oh, we're doing very well since no one was here for half a year. So through the end of May, we've got $96,000 left. I haven't posted anything from June yet, but we will end the year with a healthy surplus.
Okay. And that surplus historically has gone into our retained earnings.
Correct.
Our book value. And as a board, we have agreed in the past to keep that book value at approximately 50,000. Is that correct? Karen? Am I remembering the numbers?
Yeah.
So that surplus, I would propose that we would discuss it as a board, what to do. We returned, I believe, over the last 2 years, we were someplace close to 100 and returned a pro rata share to some of the towns,
Correct.
which was appreciated in this financial time. So I guess we get the final number and discuss it as a board. Is that
Right, after everything's shaken out for the
After
year.
June 30th.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Please,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I recommend that we hang on to the extra this next fiscal year, because our expenses are gonna go up.
Yeah.
The fiscal year 2026 is gonna be, I think, significantly higher than what fiscal year 2025 is, primarily because of salaries.
Sure. Right.
So I think that we should, I'm just gonna say it now, I think maybe we should hang on to the surplus versus returning it to the towns.
You'd like to have a bigger bumper on the
I would
car?
like to have a bigger bumper, just.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
And
all.
also you have the opportunity, I don't know, Steve, do you need computers? Are there things like that?
A laptop would be crucial, I mean, this
Yeah, I mean,
iPad that we're using is not.
How do you, when you go to your office hours, Steve, how do you get linked in?
So it's very hard because I don't have a scanner, obviously, that I can scan in, so, and I need a certain computer that has my system's operation. It doesn't really work off of that, so the laptop would.
So perhaps for the next meeting, and especially in sync with Karen's point of budget surplus, perhaps you could come back with a proposal or thoughts on how you'd like to upgrade a laptop or, you know, have the IT in the system be more functional.
or is
Because I think that comes back in efficiency tenfold.
Oh,
Sorry, Karen, I cut you off.
this something that you could do before the end of the year? Because it's much easier to spend within the fiscal year. And get that, you know, get that done, get what you need.
okay.
Because we,
really budgeted for next year.
exactly.
Right, 2025's done, so,
Right.
yeah.
Right, and don't we have a surplus in technology or something?
Right,
So-
right, and, you know, given the amount of the surplus and the fact that
Yeah,
Steve is new, I don't think anyone would have a problem, you know, overspending a line. You know, it isn't like your town, it isn't like you have to transfer things based
line
on
item
town
transfer.
meeting. Yeah, but, you know, I would say, you know, figure out what you and Tony need.
Okay.
Right? I personally believe that there is a point where basic technology comes back, if you spend X, you'll get it back 2 or 3-fold in efficiency, so. Right, to be able to respond to that email while you're sitting in West Newbury, you know, waiting for a veteran is, you know, it's powerful, powerful.
Well, it looks like under office equipment, which is what that could fall under, right? We have $1,300 sitting there, so. That would be helpful.
Karen, are there any line items that we should highlight that are over budget, overfunded? Anything we should start thinking about, you know, this year, aside from,
I mean,
positions not being filled? Is there
Yeah,
anything here that we should highlight on, or key on?
I mean, I think probably what we should do is because, you know, Steve is gonna have a different style of running the office. I think we should kind of let the year play out for a little
Okay.
while.
Okay,
And look at next year, and then when we do our budget next year, kind of say, okay, well, you know, you're spending more money on whatever because you're doing programming different than it used to be before. I mean, I think that makes sense.
I think that's a great idea, Karen. Karen, thank you for that suggestion. I think that's, so in other words, let the course be set for a year. Let's see what the numbers shake out to, and then that'll give us more insight into where to project and where to beef things up and perhaps some things.
So along that vein, how is the website doing? Are you all up to date with that? Or my thought was, if not, maybe if there's a few dollars in the budget, maybe look for a summer intern that could help bring that up to speed and.
So we have spoken to IT here. Jackie was reassures us that she's on the calendar aspect, that I know Dana's been really, and yeah, I mean, no, it will help, but right now, it's just not set up in our, it's very, Civics Plus is not user friendly at all. But even when your IT department can't figure it out, you know, that's a big,
Yeah.
big problem. But yeah, I think we should look at, might even get rid of Civics Plus and create a whole new website from scratch.
Okay.
With new features, but that's something we have to look at and get quotes for, obviously. But yeah, the Civics Plus is just, it's not really, user friendly, I feel like, on any of the town websites.
Have you asked them for training?
Yes, oh yes, but I mean, when they don't get you more.
Yeah, no, there is training online, and I figured out ways to do some of the stuff they were wanting. However, just for the entire, like for the calendar, for example, like Civics Plus is very, like its user friendliness is limited. That's the thing, is it doesn't let you do what other websites would, or like the flexibility is not there. But what it does great with ADA compliance, fantastic on that front, but it just doesn't allow you a lot of wiggle room with, you know, specific goals.
It's rigid,
Exactly.
the stables are rigid.
Exactly.
To what you can do, okay.
Yes.
Well, listen, one of the things that, and I don't wanna steal your stuff, Steve and I talked about is that the wedge of veterans that are old school communication, that wedge unfortunately is shrinking. And our initiatives to reach out new means, everything you guys are working at is crucial. And the website is a big component of that. So I'm all for exploring, more versatile, web hosting, platforms. I don't know what the rest of the board has done or any town experiences people have had.
Well, I want to be clear, we still are sending out, paper, we are, like in West Newbury, for instance, we sent out with the Memorial Day newsletter, our office is here to support you, I've gotten probably 10 calls just from that letter alone. So, we're still doing the regular, mailing stuff, information out to veterans, snail mail, but yeah, there is a huge technological barrier that could.
So for my limited technological web experience, what would you find an enhancement? What is lacking? What component is lacking that you'd like to see more of from Civics Plus? Is it sort of the input into different platforms, or Tony, what's lacking there?
So just the, I think the calendar is the perfect example. Like I have a very basic plan that I've seen done on other websites through other, I've used a couple different website builders, and each one is able to do, what I wanted to do. So I thought, oh, it would be easy to do in Civics Plus as well. It is not. It's as simple as having different calendars for different, what town you're from.
Okay.
Like, I only want to see stuff from Raleigh, for example. Like, it doesn't allow you to do that. It's everything or nothing.
Right.
And then just, the way that it highlights things, another option would be to say all of Raleigh is in orange and then all of Ipswich is in red, or color coordinate. No option like that either. Not that I've seen. And there's trainings on the website for how to do specific things, but those are the only things that they offer.
Okay. All right.
We can get more into that during, the other, 20.
Yeah, so again, I don't think there's any downside to exploring new platforms, away from Civics.
Yeah, I mean, you might wanna look at unless you wanna build from scratch.
Oh, no.
But then, you've got like all the issues with ADA compliance and stuff.
Yes.
I mean, do other districts use different products?
No, I feel like even towns in Oregon are using Civics Plus. It
Yeah.
seems like everybody uses Civics Plus.
Because it's, it's, geared towards that municipal or state or government
Yes.
kind of.
Yeah, that's their niche. And they've
Right,
gotten every
right.
single,
What about like regional school districts too? Maybe take a look at what some of them use.
that's a good idea. Okay.
Because, I live in my own cabinet hell. With Civic Plus.
Okay, well, Karen, anything else on the financials you'd like to talk about, or Steve, you're living in the budget, anything else you'd like to talk about? I think the laptop, the IT was an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Anything else in the budget?
No, like I said, we're just gonna go from here, see how the year plays out, and see what needs come. Let's add into.
Right, but, I would say, I mean, how much do you spend in postage?
So that would just spend,
Like $130
Yeah.
for.
You probably, I mean, do you spend a lot in postage? Because now would be the time at the end of the
That's
fiscal year when you've got money.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna, get it before we get our time.
Exactly, that's what I'm suggesting, yeah.
And when you say postage, do you buy your postage, or you bring it to the post office and have them affix postage to it?
I went to Shaw's in Boston because Staples didn't even have it. So I'm like, how does Staples?
So you buy a roll of postage?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that might be a good thing to reduce the surplus.
Yeah.
You will use it.
I mean, you buy forever stamps.
Yeah.
You don't buy 10 rolls if you're gonna use them.
Linda, did you want to comment on something?
Yeah, well, so on the budget versus actuals for postage, it was $1,000 budgeted, it doesn't show anything spent.
Well, it was the first one I had just ever bought was $130 and we submitted.
For one town, that was for one town?
Oh, no, that was just for our office, sent
Oh.
115 checks.
Okay,
So we didn't have anything for the whole year prior?
Not that it's me, but maybe they bought a lot of postage at the end of last year.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
what we just. Yeah.
So we have some flexibility in the coming year, we'll put that
Yes.
down, so that's good.
If I may, I know one of my comrades, Bill DeMayo, has, in Karen's time frame, was requesting snail mail for some of the events, you know, for the veterans in the town of Newbury. And the money just wasn't there, and I don't know if that's something we wanna, you know, get into, or, go ahead.
So I've actually teamed up with the COA, with Cindy at the Newbury, and we've actually been, she's great on our past Memorial Day breakfast in Plum Island.
Right, I had COVID, by the way,
Yeah,
that's why I couldn't go.
But no, she was great and helped get out that, and like I said, we stuck our office letter in the invitation.
Yeah, and I realize we're talking about 6 towns here.
Yes.
And if each town gets their own individual postage, that might be something that we just can't afford. But I just think that we should have a process or a procedure if an individual town wants to request something like that. I don't know if that's something that we want to
Can you
entertain.
get a newsletter out or get a target?
For example, like the veterans, breakfast is a good example.
Sure.
Do we wanna snail mail every veteran in Newbury and invite them to that breakfast?
That's what we did.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
okay, so we do
But
have.
the towns paid for it.
That's COA did.
Yeah, and when we did ours, our town paid for everything. We did the
Right.
parade, our town did everything, and we put the information from this
Well-
office in there, and
Yeah.
they mailed it all out for.
Well, that's kind of the information that I passed on to Bill was that, you know,
Absolutely.
the approval really is at the board level on how we're gonna, you know, so I think that if that's something that we wanna entertain where, no, the town is gonna be responsible for that mail, or this office is gonna be responsible for that mail. I think that would be something that would be, you know, equal across the board to address, that's all.
Right.
If we
Yeah.
wanna,
I think it depends on what it is, because
Yeah.
the town gives X amount of money to this organization, we do that, and they say, wait a second, now we're
well,
spending.
right, it would become a line item.
Yeah, but I
you
think
know.
it was easy, how we did it, they didn't even bat an eyelash at it, cause it was, you know, things for the town that it was doing, and it was just added in there, so it was like no big deal, you know?
So I think in Ipswich too, there might be opportunities like with the electric and water bill mailings, right? You could probably.
Yeah.
Larry,
yeah,
Larry
yeah.
with the parade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
So I mean, there.
exactly, exactly,
And then there's no real extra cost.
correct.
So there is actually there's a law that our office can request donations through the state, local, utility bill, and there's a veteran box that we can check off and send it in, so it's a state law that the municipal veterans offices can have in, if people wanna pay their electric bill or their water bill, utility bill, but then it also gives them an option to donate whatever they want to the veterans.
That'd be good.
Yeah, but, so I know, and I just learned this, it's a law in Massachusetts, so, veterans offices are allowed to do that in their. There it is.
Well,
It goes into a separate fund. And
Sure. I do love the efficiency of I'm getting my water bill, but something, something goes out about the, a veterans event. That's,
Yeah, this community announcements or
yeah.
community information.
Yeah.
so that's definitely something we'll do.
And if you do a district-wide, newsletter that gets mailed out, I mean, that's a district-wide, so that clearly falls under the budget of
Correct, yeah.
the veterans.
That would be
Right?
separate. that
You know,
would-
if it's something that's specific to one town, that's,
That's what I'm addressing, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know,
But I guess it hasn't been an issue, and if it was certain things, they kind of take it on, at least our town does it, yeah, that's on us, like, you know, that when she mailed out the stuff, the breakfast,
There was no.
the parade and everything, our town did all that, we, you know, you type up this here, you put it inside there, yeah, we'll insert it, and we got it, and it seemed like it was, they expected to do that.
Yeah.
So, you know.
It was nice, and like I said, I got
Yeah.
probably 10 to 15
Yeah.
calls.
Yeah, exactly, so, it's, But I think your point was spot on with if there's something coming directly from the district out to everybody, then of course it comes through here, but if it's town specific, sometimes the town anticipating that it's on them. We've had no pushback at all from anything that we've done or wanted to do, they were always,
That is.
yeah, they're very, like, yeah, they were very accommodating, and it's been a two-way street, so it's nice and easy.
Okay, great. So we'll close the year out, in a few weeks and, it'll be, we'll have a final report and we'll get that snapshot.
Right, we'll have that at the next meeting.
Okay, terrific.
Could I add one more thing to this?
Please, John.
So we're talking about postage, like in terms of like line items, would that be under postage or marketing? Because I also wanted to know what sort of marketing budget we would have.
I don't think we have a line for marketing.
We do.
Postage is what our.
Postage,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
but to Steve's point, this year, if there needs to be a marketing line, item, let's talk about it.
Talk about it on your.
Okay.
Me too. No.
A CMO.
It's coming.
It's coming.
So, listen, the next item, moving on from financials is the chairman's report. I will just give a quick snapshot. I'd love to go round robin. I won't steal, Linda's, but I think what Ipswich did for, the anniversary of V-Day was phenomenal. We also had, in my town, we had a tremendous, ceremony for, Memorial Day, and again, it was, just the enthusiasm of the crowd was just, terrific, so, it's been a really, good couple of weeks of, at least, my town veterans, oriented.
So I just wanna I can just add my 2 cents, and I think everyone in the last quarter, since we met last, has done a phenomenal job in trying to support our veterans. You know, others more than, the Ipswich event was incredible. I think that I just wanna thank everybody, all the time, for what everyone has done. And, I mean, it's been a very busy. I can imagine your head is probably spinning all over the place. And I just want to commend you and thank you and everyone else for everything that they've done. Because we've come a long ways since I've been on the board.
We had a couple of vets show up at our Memorial Day thing that I've been told it hadn't showed up in 30 years. So it was awesome. So, Doug, anything from Georgetown?
Oh, we had Memorial Day. I have to thank Steve for an assist in an issue that we had, but it all worked out.
Okay.
And, we had a good Memorial Day and the rain held off, so
Sure.
nobody got wet. It was just misty. It could have been more perfect cloudy, you know, sweat and get burnt. But yeah, that worked out well. And we're moving on to, the beginning planning stages of quarterly veterans breakfast and coffee, so.
It's great.
Plus a meet and greet.
Oh, we had a great Memorial Day. He was our guest speaker. He did incredible. Tony was the photographer, took all kinds of great pictures and everything, and everybody was thrilled how it all came out. And they were very appreciative of Tony and Steve for everything that they did. So everybody complimented on many times. So we appreciate everything. I finally brought back the bar I had. And I was sitting in my truck and I went to Ruben goes, oh, God. Holy crap.
It's not wet on there.
No, it was inside, it was inside the truck, and inside the truck. And, but I left the keys to my neighbor, I said, nah, you can drive it, it should be a big brake plane. So I did have a backup plan, but we finally brought it back. No, everything else has been great, and, you know, Tony and Steve have been phenomenal, so. Been great.
I watched yours.
You did?
Yeah, I did, on YouTube or something, and it was very impressive, very impressive. The parade was on there, you were like in the lead car in the right seat.
Trying to get an American-made vehicle. They're like, you can't have a popcorn here. That's the people. Like, how we bomb those people?
I'll take a shirt.
And then even there was the, you know, when you went indoors and you guys were
Yeah,
on stage
yeah,
and
yeah.
all of that was there. It was a great production
Yeah,
and you guys did a great job.
yeah, they did. Good job.
Yeah.
They really did. It's good, thank you.
So it's been an exciting time in Ipswich. We had our Memorial Day assembly. We did not have a parade, but we sure made up for that on June 8th. We had an incredible number of fundraising events leading up to the parade, and the whole process had been in the planning stages for close to a year. And Steve was part of the planning committee, as was I, and a few other town officials, and it went off so well. So we had the fundraising events. One of them was the North Shore Philharmonic concert at the high school the Thursday before the parade. And then we had the parade, and it was just an event, you know, the parade and the following block party that afternoon was so incredible to have the community out and everybody from surrounding communities, and the amount of participants in the parade is something I hadn't seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
So the select board Monday night recognized Larry Jordan, who was the visionary of this whole thing, and he led the committee for the year, and it was great to recognize him and the committee for all their hard work. But thank you to you for being there and, you know, helping to kick that off. And, yeah, so it was exciting.
A Sherman tank pulling down.
Yeah.
What amazing.
The bridge you fly.
That's right.
And riding sports.
That's
and,
right.
It's just been fun.
And I mentioned this to Linda, I want to say it correctly, the singing, state trooper, is that?
Yeah.
What a showman, what a showman.
Yeah,
There were women, a younger woman and an older woman sitting to either side of me, that he had them crying, he was so emotional, so,
there were tears in my eyes. Yeah.
what an
yeah,
addition.
Absolutely. And on the viewing stand, we had General Hazy, how do you pronounce your last name? Hazy?
Yeah. That's pretty good. I'm horrible at names.
So I got to meet her, and of course Bruce Tar was there on the viewing stand, and it was just,
Well, and you also had a veteran of D-Day.
there was 102-year-old veteran.
Wow.
I think he was a merchant
Unbelievable.
marine.
Yeah.
And
he'd been
he
in-
was there.
But his list of where he'd been to North Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Unbelievable.
merchant marine is not a fun job. It's a very dangerous job, merchant marines.
They had a paint telephone pole gray.
Yeah.
They
Every
look like
every
guns.
U-boat chasing them, the Gulf of Mexico, all the way over.
So there is one thing I want to bring up. The town did a float, and on the float, there was a huge sign that we had framed, and it had the names of the 36 Ipswich residents who were killed in World War II.
Wow.
And it's huge and it's beautiful, and we want to find a place to keep it. And so if you have any ideas about that, you know, for other events that might come up, you know, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, that kind of thing.
But it's movable, Linda, or does it go on a
Not
wall?
the float, it's a sign.
The sign.
It's the length of the float, which,
Oh.
yeah, and it has names on both sides. So whichever side of the street you were on during the parade. you can
Right,
see it.
right.
Wow.
So it's gonna be a long wall, like a hallway wall to.
Or even to put it in storage until, you know, we need it again. I don't think there's a place to display it.
Right.
But it's something to think about. We can talk.
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. It's just a terrific time of year for celebrating, remembering. But again, I thought that celebration which was top notch, and hats off to all the people who put the work into it. And thank you all for your participation and efforts, for your local Memorial Day efforts. So it's the fabric that knits our communities together. Okay, anything else on activities or Memorial Day or people want to touch on?
question. Were you going to, do a brief report on the director's review?
I will, just, with this will touch on other things, and, Steve can, comment if you want on your section, but, per last meeting, we did go through a review process, people submitted their input, Karen, we went through and talked about finances and the appropriate method to do things, we, tallied up the report, the financial, the numbers and the review ratings. Steve and I sat down on May 31st. I felt it was a very positive report. I gave Steve the opportunity to make any comments. He didn't have any. I thought he was very pleased. I won't, put words in your mouth. And we sent it off to the HR folder where it lives. And now we have Steve on a review cycle for the municipal year. And but I think it was very well received, and I thank everyone for their input into the process. So I'll let Steve talk about it in his section, but overall, I think it was an excellent review. I'm happy to share the final numbers with members of the board. That being said, historically, we have kept individuals' write-ups confidential. So I'm happy to share what we shared, the aggregated values of what Steve's final ratings were, but we traditionally do not share the your obviously yours is yours, yours is your write-up is your write-up.
No,
and
you
we
make
keep
it
those.
fast.
We keep.
But I think Steve was able to read them all.
Steve got everything, but I'm saying an individual wants, if anyone on the board wants to see the final tally numbers, we're happy to share the average numbers.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think you should share that, the individual numbers.
I'm happy to do that. However, we have historically kept individuals' write-ups, like your write-up, your write-up is private, allows you to say what everyone, my write-up is private. That being said, overall, it was a wonderful, a very positive set of reviews, so I would comment. I'll let Steve comment.
No, I sincerely appreciate everyone's feedback. I am open in the future. I don't get, upset if anyone has any constructive criticism. I'm open to all aspects. But no, I mean, I thought overall they're all very positive. I'm excited. Here we are, since I started. I feel a lot more comfortable where I am now, obviously. That said, I'm very happy with everyone's rating.
But Doug, your point is well taken. I will share the composite average of Steve's numbers with the committee, with the board, and I'll make sure to get that to everyone so they can look.
If I may, I really liked your self-assessment. That was a great, that was a great tool that I used to do your assessment, was your self-assessment. Because you are so new and, we haven't been able to actually, know what you've been doing or see you in action, and that was very helpful. And thank you for doing that.
Because I agree, because we're not here in the office day to day.
Right.
Right, so.
So hectic, I'll tell you that.
To that point, and I'll turn it over to you, Steve, for your report. This was a nice snapshot of the process as it has developed over the last sort of 4 years. If any committee members want to tweak things, self-assessment leading into board member review, aggregating, and then delivering to the VSO. My ears are open, but I thought it was, it's come a long way from where it was. And it is also, for example, if there was an item on the review sheet that you thought was lacking or wanted to see something, this process is an open process. But I ask people to think about it. And I'll make the joke that before we know it, we'll be doing another round. So time flies. So that's all I have on the VSO review, the stub VSO review, I call it. Any comments or any feedback that people want to talk about on that topic? Okay. With that, I'll move on to the next item, which is the VSO report.
So kind of We're gonna kind of merge these, me and Tony's.
Okay.
That's okay, we have to get a hold of them. Alright, so, no, we were rolling with claims, I filed about 76, I think, was the total so far. VA claims, which was either burial claims, DIC claims, enrollment claims, what have you, everything VA related. We're getting, now chapter 115s are slowly coming in, we're having some transfer out of town. Just because some get put on the CHAMP housing application, which means the CHAMP housing application is better in preference, but it's also connected to all the other housing authorities in the area. So it depends on which availability is open first. So then obviously someone living in the Ipswich housing, so we have some people transferring out of towns, but it's a healthy hearing off to those VSO offices. We're having some moving costs for one of the veterans right now, helping cover that with chapter 115 benefits. So into the electronic outreach initiative a little bit. I think Tony, when he was talking about the marketing, we want to try to see if there's a budget for, especially with Facebook. You know, our Facebook page is fairly new, but we already have 60 followers right now. I believe the old web's Facebook page only had 93 total, and that's been operating for years.
And this is when we didn't know the password, so we created a brand new one, brand fresh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is some wiggle room into paying for advertising, so it will pop up on other people's feeds and like, hey, these events are happening, so it's going to get more traction to, you know, get the information out there to the veterans and their families. I mean, say, I've already seen it happen, like a granddaughter saw it on a post and invited their grandfather to one of the events because she saw it randomly pop up, but.
How much is it to get something out, you know, better out there? Is it $1,000, $10,000? What's the cost of it?
It's different.
Yes,
But
so the brilliance behind this is that like, I don't have the exact numbers for either
Okay, it's a
estimate,
ballpark,
but it's like if, from the estimate that was given to me through Facebook trying to sell me things, it was even $20 will receive like 1,000 views. So the return on investment for this is extremely good, especially if you compare it to the newspaper or TV ads or anything like that. It's a very high return on investment. And then, yeah, it really just depends on what budget we want to give it and then see how it goes.
Right.
Are those targeted?
Yes, yes, I think there's like a list of demographics that you can choose, and.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I know what I'm talking about, but but I want to talk a little bit about, I know like artificial intelligence and Facebook. No, but Facebook, that would be me, but I know Facebook does, you can target your audience based on other things that veterans might be looking at.
Yes.
And it will send them, you know, like a link to our Facebook page.
Right.
If they're looking at something else that's veteran related. And I think, is that what you're talking about?
So they,
suggested for you pages.
Yes.
That pop up.
they change it around a lot. We can keep it to demographics like where they live, so we're only going to people in our town or people nearby our towns, that sort of thing. Or it can be if they're interested in military topics, like they have more vague terms like that. Again, I don't really know, I haven't paid for anything yet, so I don't know exactly what they're offering nowadays. They change it year to year based on law and everything. But yes, so like, we at least can limit it to, physical location and then also include other.
We don't want to be targeting, obviously, someone else.
Exactly.
No, we don't want to be paid for that, so it is more directed towards our general area, the North Shore, Merrimack Valley.
Right.
And the surrounding areas, but.
So we've run into this, because we've run into this topic in my town where we use some of this Facebook and other marketing for tourism.
Mhm.
And, you know, we like to drive tourists, and get your private plans and drive the tax revenue. However, some of the challenge is, you know, measuring, well, I came to Essex because of, you know, I saw that pop up on Facebook. That being said, I think it's like a mosaic. You know, maybe it's this and that, but it is the new methodology of how we're getting to this demographic.
Well, the great thing is we can already track who comes, how many pages, we've got a ton of, you know, as it is, but I feel, and we know we can we reach so many more people and so many more veterans in their families, through this, and I think it would be a great first step, especially we have this little room with the budget, we can start small, see exactly what.
Well, and maybe
what the numbers
you can also track it via followers, right?
Well,
Maybe that's the
what we
metric,
do, yeah.
you know,
So
you
we
can go from
track-
63 to
Yeah,
some other number,
Yeah.
right? My point is, we've had trouble in town saying, okay, this year we've generated, 30% more tourist traffic. Was it because of, WBZ came and did a Woodman's review, or was it because we, tripled our budget, our marketing budget? We don't know, but my point is that the metric is interesting to get your ROE, ROI, what's your return? What metric are we trying to enhance? And if it's followers, I think that's a very tangible metric to follow.
So I think we'd like to know more details about costs, right? I mean, it kind of sounds like it's not very expensive,
Yeah.
so.
Yes, so it's the sort of thing that the longer you do it for, the more information that you get, and then you can do A/B testing to see what works better, and then, so it's probably gonna be the most expensive directly up front, and then get better over time
Okay.
as we tweak everything, to
And then
more,
once you have followers. I
and
mean,
that
then
too, that's,
It's kind of prolific that way, but.
so
But
that's,
where you get reshares, that kind of stuff, which pulls in, more people. And I just,
I have consulted other VSO offices that have done this, and they have about, I think, a couple thousand.
Right.
Likes, and you get their message, their events out there, there's so many more.
Well, and Steve, we touched on this, this is the piece of the wedge
Yeah.
that is growing. The younger generations that are electronic and not newsletter focused or mailing focused or flyer focused. I think that's such an important dynamic to get our hands around, and your efforts are so appreciated.
so, sorry, so with, our, like, so far we've been doing everything organically, and with that in mind, something that keeps people coming back and something that keeps people sharing is to give information away. So we've been devising plans to create a lot of information online in easily digestible ways. For example, like we have, so I want to start an Instagram page. We're only doing Facebook right now, but we want to expand into other social media platforms, Instagram. And with Instagram, the algorithm rewards you for constantly posting and posting reels. Lately, they've been pushing reels because they want to fight TikTok. So now they will give you a better return if you give them what they want and post regularly. So with that in mind, we have other initiatives that we want to do to create information online that breaks down complex topics. Like we have the same 5 questions being asked 70 times a month. So we can create frequently asked question videos that people will see for themselves, and they're easily digestible. So they'll, it's a minute video. It's not then they share that with their friends, or like, oh, my uncle talked about this one time, that sort of.
Yeah.
Like the shorter the video, like the most information out of that short video.
Yeah.
But the more you create of these, like you're saying, the better it'll go over our website, and it'll share and suggest pages. But with I mean, I think we should test it out, and especially with this, like I said, with the budget money we do have left over. I mean, we're not gonna go crazy with it, but I think it is worth a shot, given that it's test. We can track the numbers, come back, the numbers on our next meeting.
Well, if we're a little bit behind in this effort, perhaps that we can turn that to our advantage. What avenue or outreach electronically have other VSOs been successful with, right? Maybe the Facebook avenue is most successful, whereas the TikTok is not. I don't know. What did other VSOs say, assistant VSOs say, Steve?
So I've spoken, like I said, they have paid for advertising.
Facebook advertising?
Facebook. Yeah, they don't have Instagrams, they don't.
Okay.
But I mean, it's something on Facebook, posting those small videos, that's more something Instagram does with the reels.
Right,
That's specific to the small, but you're getting the most information out of it, because you don't want to lose people when even a 3-minute video, people aren't gonna watch it.
Sure.
There you go. So if you give something that breaks down something in 50 seconds or less, those are something that can be easily thrown out there, and people can digest that information in a short amount of time.
Then, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, then as we spend money to get people to look at our website, then that'll like, that'll get them to click, like, follow or subscribe or something, then our dollars are, like, not just getting people to look at our page, but stay there and repeat and look at it.
And you mean our Facebook page, not our,
Well, we're linking all the site,
So it's
so
all
all the
linked
towns too,
together.
so it's gonna create, generate likes and clicks for each individual town as well.
so our discussion about our webpage comes back is important to this Facebook and Instagram sort of equation, that it needs to be,
It's-
it needs to work together.
So what I was gonna ask was, and I think we just touched on it, I think pretty much all of our towns have a Facebook page. I know Ipswich does, right? So that would link to that, and then people that go, because a lot of people go to the town Facebook pages, right? So they would see that, you could link it to that.
Yeah, and
Right.
Town Veterans have been very awesome with us, we've shared their events, they're sharing.
Yeah.
Leah and Mary both team up, but they've been really amazing, Bedford VA, I know the public affairs officer who runs the Bedford VA, he's been instrumental in helping share our page out there through their, followers, so. There's so much more to go, and there's so much more we can do. We just don't know what our restrictions are, I believe, and that we don't want to overstep our boundaries and do something without getting approval first. So that's where we're at.
Without getting a budget for it, Steve, is that what you said about?
Yeah, just being able to, experiment with it at first, and, obviously you're not gonna spend a whole bunch of money, but yeah, we wanna tinker with it a little bit, see what comes out of it. If it's not as what we expected, the numbers aren't there, then it's not worth it. Obviously, we'll.
Listen, I personally feel, and I'd love to hear what the rest of the board, I personally feel that, it's a little bit like that old vaudeville with the guy spinning the plates on the sticks, right? We have to keep our, current claims in the office, running and satisfied, but, reaching out to the younger group and still satisfying the demands of that older generation. I think is this electronic communication initiative. I personally feel it's one of the most important things, because you're building into the demographic of the next 30 years. And I think that's so important. The followers you build now, will bear fruit over the next 15, 20 years. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think it's such an important initiative.
I agree, and Tony, I wanna thank you for, like, I send you stuff, I know, like, what a good example is the event at the Alex in Newburyport. I sent, they posted it, and then I sent it to you to try and, to get it on our, Facebook page. And I think that things like that, I really appreciate you doing that, and I know that, Tony Matthews, it kind of headed up that event. And he's from Newbury, and he personally, but he's also a member of the Newburyport Elks, and they do a tremendous amount for veterans. And he invited all of the Newbury veterans to that event in Newburyport, which is why I sent it to you to post it, so that all the veterans in Newbury knew that they were invited to this, event that we weren't even sponsoring, somebody else was sponsoring it. And stuff like that is, I think, is a huge tool that we can continue to use. And if I send you something and you're like, Dana, like, you're crazy and out of line, I'm not gonna do that. I'm okay with that, okay? Because I'm just gonna keep sending you stuff.
Well, sometimes it's the crazy out of line stuff that gets the most clicks, that gets the most interest.
And another example is, that I wanted to shout out to is that, the Rusty Can in Byfield, they provide so much stuff to our veterans free of charge.
Just spoke to Mike, I stopped by there and spoke to him personally.
He's an incredible guy, and I just want to send a shout out to him, because he gives a lot of stuff.
And I think his dad was a veteran, is that right, Steve?
Yeah, so anyway, I
So
love,
he agreed to donate a bunch of food for an event. So,
Sure.
so my next part, really quick, I did complete my certificate for trip training for the VA. So my next step is I gotta get my PIP card for the accreditation process, and I'm gonna be, fully accredited for the VA.
And Steve, could you please, in a more granular way, explain what that allows you to do?
Yeah, so trip training stands for training, responsibility, involvement, and preparation of claims program. It was a long course, I won't go into it. But it just prepares you to file claims and know what these claims are, what, supplemental claim is, what you need to do. So it is very in-depth training on how to prepare and submit claims to the VA. With the next step, I'll be going to the JFK building in Boston to get my PIV card. That's a personal, identity, card. So pretty much I'll log into the computer. I'll have a special keyboard that I have to put my PIV card in.
A cat card.
I'm military, we have cat cards.
Yeah.
So I can securely submit confidential information to the VA directly, instead of having to send it to Executive Office of Veteran Services, which every DSO is doing now.
So you're taking a middleman out of the out of those claims.
And I'll be fully accredited submitting the claims. So that's, within the next, I'll say, month talk, so it'll be good.
Will that save a week, 2 weeks, what, just in layman's term, what did that do, taking the middleman out of the equation?
So I'll be able to see exactly what letters are sent out to the vet. I'll be able to track if they know they got an appointment coming up. I'll be able, so if something gets lost in the mail, like right now, they're sending appointments or complement to the veteran. I don't know what they're sending.
Right.
So I have to trust the veteran that he's making it, or she's making the appointments. So it just cuts out a ton of, it's it.
Is that the same certification that, you get for the 115?
No, so I took that, that's once every 3 years, I got a 90% on that. So thank you. And yeah, I got a 90, it's funny enough, I got a 90% on this one too, so I'll take A minuses all. But yeah, so I left you guys, this is just a tracker of where I am now within the training.
Okay, great.
My accreditation is next, they're submitting my application, I had to write an essay as well, part of this application. So they're sending it to the VA headquarters now, which they'll sign off, I'll get accredited. So like I said, that'll be a couple of weeks, I'll probably get my PIV card within, like I said, a month or so tops.
Okay, congratulations on that achievement. And then how was your offsite with the other DSOs? The Cape Cod offsite, if I remember correctly, Steve?
For
Didn't you have an offsite?
my
A
conference.
conference, yeah, offsite, that sounds.
Oh, yeah.
That's corporate.
Oh, no, it was amazing. Executive Office of Veteran Services were there going over, the procedures. The HERO Act that's, just been passed in the Massachusetts House is now to the Senate. That's gonna create a whole new eligibility criteria, so that's gonna be a lot more Chapter 115 recipients. I
Okay.
feel, in my opinion, because it's gonna open up eligibility to a whole, different group. So, that's gonna be huge. The estate annuity is gonna be from $2,000 to $2,500 for 100% disabled veterans and, spouses or deceased veterans as well. So there's a lot of changes. Free license plates, they're waiving the $50 license plate fee for the veteran license plate. They're creating a women veteran license plate, which is amazing finally. So there's just so much, that's gonna be, but it hasn't passed yet. It's in the Senate now and then the government.
Well, the Senate passed it, now it's in the conference committee.
Oh, the Senate just finally passed it?
With the
The
House,
House passed it.
no, the Senate just passed,
The House just passed it.
no, the Senate just passed.
Okay, all right.
And now it's in joint.
Somebody passed it,
Okay.
and
And now it's in the joint committee.
Okay.
Oh,
So anyway,
The
the HERO Act.
The HERO Act.
The HERO Act.
That's a Massachusetts. just-
Right. I'm not really sure what I'm talking about, but the PAC thing, was it?
There's a PACT Act, that's for VA.
In fact, that, you know, they just published a YouTube video explaining all of that I just got, because I follow it on YouTube. And that was something that I kind of wanted to try and get on our Facebook page, is a link to that video, because it explains all of that whole stuff that just got passed.
And you follow it on what, Dana? I'm sorry.
YouTube,
No, but what's the channel?
I don't know.
All right.
You know, that's an interesting thought. Each of our towns has community access television. So as these new, the HERO Act, the PAC Act, maybe, you could think about doing TV segment on it.
We just had a meeting with ICANN today, actually.
I can't see it switch.
Yeah, so it's which I can, but yeah, no, so that's what we were gonna do with those short reels. We're gonna do pack that short informational videos.
Okay.
We're gonna do, the new Hero app informational videos, quick videos that people will watch and won't just see it. Oh, it's 5 minutes. Forget that. They don't wanna see that. You're not gonna grab their attention.
Well, I was thinking too, in addition to that, maybe something where you introduce yourself and the office
Oh, yeah.
and all that, and then bring all that
Oh, yeah.
in, but, you
Yeah.
know, I know a lot of people that do watch the local TV station like that,
Yeah.
so that might, just another
We,
invitation to the office.
we talked over there, part of the big plan for, the little videos is I wanted to make them, modular, but like able to be put together. So, when we were over there, we were speaking about doing like a 15-minute segment monthly, that they could replay like once in the morning, once in the evening, a few times a month. But that would pretty much just be those videos in a longer form. But yeah, just something that is played on their channel.
I did something similar with Beverly's, so the
Yes.
Beverly DSO and I did the Beverly, so that's what they did. We went over chapter 1 and sat there, we went to their studio, we went over chapter 115 benefits, what they are. So yeah, no, those are,
In addition to those kinds of.
right, so
Yeah.
they just play that on their community access
Right.
television channel level. So yeah, that's fine, but like videos aren't like we're, posting, we don't want to be posting a 5-minute,
No, I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, no, specifically that,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, you know.
Oh, no, but I can, that would be huge.
Yeah, and I could probably share it.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, share it with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a lot of resources to help out. They've been very,
Right.
I think that, do you have anything else to cover for your electronic initiative?
not that.
I got your answer. On YouTube, it's the US Department of Veteran Services.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where I saw it. And I follow them on YouTube.
We posted one of their videos about the 100,
It was-
if you're 100% what you're entitled to, so we did post a video in regards, I get those videos from the VA all the time, they're awesome. So they designed specifically like, because there are so many benefits for 100%, you get free dental, there's, the annuity, so it breaks down, specifically if you are 100%, these are what you're entitled to things. So like they have other videos like that with PACDAC and all that, that are very informational.
Do you guys have a YouTube channel? Or,
No.
On the to-do list for
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
because I know the state does a very good job. They come up with these training things and then it, directs you to their YouTube page and then they have a whole library of things.
Yes.
That's good. Well, it seems like there's a lot of, range to explore here. And I personally feel that some budget behind it in the new fiscal year, would be, very appropriate. How does the rest of the board feel? Marketing, call it increased IT,
To increase outreach, we need to do that.
right? And that's
That's
been
one
work,
of the charges we've given these two gentlemen.
right? And you need some budget to do it. So I personally feel, it's very, very warranted.
So we're gonna have a vote for them to have a marketing line or something, or we?
Yeah, Karen, what, can you just give us some, guidance? Is
Put
that,
the
was that
marketing
more,
funds in there.
we roughed it out, you would rough, Steve and
Sorry,
Tony
what?
would rough it out, right?
Well, what I would suggest is we just add a line and call it marketing. It isn't funded, right? Because when we did our budget, we did our line item budget.
Right,
But, if we usually have surplus in some other one, but if we track, what you're spending it on, then, we'll have a better idea.
Which will be easy, I'm sure.
Right, because we'll just make sure we charge it. We'll just add a line. And, as long as, when the board's looking at the numbers quarterly, they don't say, oh my God, look at
Right.
that.
so we'll start it at 0 and it'll be a tracking, and we'll work it within the existing budget for the new
Correct.
year.
And of course, we're gonna be very low.
Right, does that make sense to the rest of the board?
Yeah.
Keep an eye on it.
Review it in our meetings each
Right.
meeting, too, we can track it that way.
Yeah.
And the metric we're looking for is obviously, to Doug's point, we want more electronic outreach. But the metric is the key metric we're gonna hang our hat on right now, sort of followers, subscribers, I don't know how to say it correctly.
Yeah.
What's that metric we're looking for, to say, we spent $1,000, we quadrupled our
We
subscribers.
get our viewers.
Viewers.
Yeah, we.
Eyeballs on the page. Great. So, Karen, we don't need to vote to add that.
No, because the budget itself is staying exactly what it is.
Okay.
And speaking of the budget, if you could all remind your towns to pay their assessment, especially some.
I know.
You passed the
It's
budget.
it's always you.
I'm treasurer.
We had to scale back because the proposition two.
Oh, I gotcha.
So Monday, we have a town meeting to pass the new budget.
Oh, gotcha.
So you don't go back to last year's budget, you scale down your budget across the
It wouldn't be
line?
until after July first,
Okay.
if the new fiscal year.
So.
Yeah.
I won't.
I know where they live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have I seen that second? Yes, I have, is
It
it,
would probably go to Tracy.
it go to Tracy?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so it wouldn't go to the select board also?
I don't usually see our.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's also an administrator, because it's a line that.
Yeah, but we're talking for like 2025 is already approved.
Yes, it's approved, but it'll be funded after July first.
I give our assessment, I give this board's assessment to the finance director and the finance committee.
Yeah,
Right.
Have you got ours yet? I think
I mean, it's a bill.
it's a bill.
It's a bill that gets paid in the next fiscal year.
We've already, you should have seen it during your budget preparation.
Yeah, I know, I submitted, I
think they all-
remember it was like $3,000 under what it was the year before. We
Some
were
towns are like about paying us in July, some people we have to chase.
It
Okay,
was lost.
Yeah.
New treasurer.
new treasurer.
New treasurer.
And we got it really.
And we have a new
I'll tell you that, we got it really quick.
Finance person.
Okay, well, that's terrific. I commend you guys on the hard work and the diligence that you're putting into keeping the traditional avenues open. But again, I say this all the time, we don't know what's gonna work until we try. We try some balloons, and, we may be Facebook people, we may be Instagram people, but, we have to try some of these initiatives. That piece of the wedge of folks who are responding to that will grow and grow and grow. And we have to do the investment first.
I think if I might,
Yes,
I think that Steve and Tony done a good job in trying to restructure the office and move it forward.
sure.
And I do.
Yeah.
oh, excellent job.
And that was reflected, just to touch on a past subtopic, that was reflected in the reviews and, it's very positive review. So I'm excited. I personally am excited for the next wave of initiatives next year.
So before we move on from, these reports, so, I understand that there was at least one veteran emergency type thing recently that we took very good care of. So, thank you, John. But I'm just curious, have you been seeing more of that? Have you been spending a lot of time after hours dealing with those kinds of situations?
Housebound veterans, I hate to say, it. So like 90, I just went and visited 93-year-old, as residents yesterday, because you couldn't come in, and then, I just bought the regular forms, I filled them out for him, gave his information. But yeah, I mean, having to go out and have to go out, well, leave the office, thank God I have an assistant full time now, so. But yeah, when those instances do come up, because sometimes it is sporadic where, they'll have an appointment the following day and I can't go to their office or their house kind of thing. But yeah, it's on the weekends, I'm glued to my phone, and I shouldn't be, I know, but that's just, I've always been that way. If something comes up, an emergency comes up, I feel bad if I waited 2 days without looking at my phone. So yeah, just always being on call, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. My wife is very understanding, I think that's
Sure.
Do you have a backup plan? Like, so there are times that you need to, disengage, right?
Yeah, I mean,
How does that work? Like, if there's an emergency, you're, on vacation.
well, I prioritize what's first off, I mean,
Right.
so I'll go through the email if it can wait till Monday, I'll apply till Monday, or if I can, send them the forms they need before then, I'll send them the forms in the weekend and say, have these ready for me on Monday when we need, give them. So I mean, it's not, but Tony's, like I said, he's here if I have to, leave the office, which, when my mother passed, he was a rock star for the week. When I left for the conference, he held on the floor like a rock star again, so having that support is huge right there on its own. So.
But other BSOs, do you have like a network that
Oh.
something came up,
Oh, yeah,
or
Bill
maybe you help out? with
Oh,
someone?
yeah, 100%. So
Yeah.
Showbar, Topsfields, you name it, and any surrounding area, Newburyport, Salisbury, is so very close with, so we're all one big team, and we know we're not. I felt like before VSO felt like they were pitted against each other, it was like town versus town, and for me, that's not gonna get anywhere, that's not gonna help again, so going to these North Shore Veteran Collaboratives, so these Merrimack Valley Veteran Collaboratives with all of this or other things, we kind of all put egos aside and, saying what's best for the veterans and their families here, and how can we help support other communities as well, it's not
Right.
just a district thing, how can we also help other surrounding communities?
But what I'm trying to focus on is that you have backup so that you can disengage and you can take the time off.
Oh, yeah.
That you need to
Yeah.
do too, because that's important.
100%.
Or tangential to that, Steve, is I see this, in the broad economy, that the pressures felt in, a lot of the vets are, in a demographic that is, maybe a little older, maybe not as financially stable. Are you seeing this economy, the inflation, that we've been through are you seeing vets, under more pressure, in the last year or two, or?
I mean, absolutely. But with that threshold, there's a limited amount for chapter 115 benefits. That amount just raised, I think, about $100 almost from last year. So if they're making over that amount, unfortunately, we, can't help them on that end. But then, if we can help them with filing a disability claim and getting a monetary amount each month that way, there's different avenues.
But this economy is putting pressure on your community.
It's
got
everywhere.
Yeah. I see it in our council on aging, I see it, the services that they provide being more sought after. I see,
Food pantries, I mean, more and more people are going, putting their pride aside and going to get food, but I mean, it's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Right.
So, but there's definitely more calls of, I had a veteran, he's, I guess, some years old, his roof was, broken, so luckily, we do know this company that does free roofs for veterans, so they have a contest every year, so I did add him to the next contest, so hopefully he wins.
all
But
right,
like, that's something we can't obviously cover under our, there's just under chapter 15 law, next to somebody who's not. Yeah, so there's wiggle room what we can do, and there's obviously
Right.
stuff we just can't support. And it's hard to say no. I feel like that's the worst part of this job, is having to say no and explain to someone like, hey, you don't have enough evidence to submit this claim for your disability, try to find paperwork, try to dig through more records through the National Personnel Records Center, but it's not an easy deal for sure.
anything else on this topic? We're on topic 7, and I know, Danny, you had 2 things that you wanted to.
One was the PAC, we've already talked about that, and I also, I mentioned about the sharing thing, and the Derek Hines was another event, in Newburyport, and I think it's Kevin, right, is the VSO?
For Newburyport?
Yeah,
Kevin
Hunt.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Derek Hines 5K. You posted it for me on Facebook. It was a great event. Kevin was up there speaking. My wife actually ran the 5K, so. And so I just wanted to give a shout out for that. The item I wanted to discuss, though, it's actually kind of old business. And thank you for reminding me. And let me, and what it, Karen had an initiative way back when that we've never really addressed it, and that's the the Cold War vet recognition. Is that something that, you remember that? Remember we were talking about that?
Yeah.
And it's basically where the connection is here is, Bill DeMayo has, you know, I need some, this is a brand new PC. And I can't even, I'm on, okay. Yeah, Bill, no, I got it right here. Bill DeMayo has written a letter to our select board, and I'll just read it to you. And it's, hello all, some time ago during the citizens' concern portion of the select board agenda, I suggested that the town of Newbury recognize the historical significance and gratitude for all Newbury veterans. Presently, the town has memorialized VA monuments, veterans of the Newbury's rich historical. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but on our lower green, you know, we're talking like, I think, like in the 1700s, the people that are on that memorial, the only people that got put on that memorial was the people that had a lot of money. So that's why he worded it that way, and it's something that isn't going to change, but that's okay. Presently, the town has, the Newbury's rich historical military involvement in the past periods of the Revolutionary, Civil, and World War II periods. Military activity did not stop at that point in time, and Newbury citizens served in Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, and many more venues after World War II. I just want to say that the Vietnam portion, I believe, via the moving wall, there's a lot of recognition there. So I'm not sure about Vietnam, and I'm not sure how it falls into the Cold War thing. But what he's proposing is, I propose a simple monument that will be a universal symbol of gratitude for Newbury's veterans. One suggestion for the engraving might be as follows: dedicated to all Newbury citizens who have served, are serving, and will serve in all the branches of the military to preserve our democracy. So that would be the engraving that he is, I guess, recommending for this memorial. I would like to, and we're gonna have a select board meeting on Tuesday, which is where this has been addressed for. Would like to recommend to our select board that we somehow, I don't want to water down the memorials that we already have. I don't know what you all think about that, but I would like to maybe have us piggyback on this Cold War veteran recognition. And I think maybe if Newbury's gonna pay for a memorial, instead of having it for everybody, because we already have one for the things that he just talked about, those memorials are already scattered around town. I was wondering if we could piggyback on the Cold War veteran recognition with that memorial. And I don't know what the board thinks about that, and that's why I want to.
So the thing is tracking all, my whole biggest thing, who's gonna track all these Cold War veterans?
You gotta go by years, because we're going through the same thing with us, with some of the ones that were missing. And then as I went through it, and I said, well, I just finished 20 years of war, and there's no memorial for OIF and OEF here, and they kind of look at me like, yeah, you're right. I said, you can put me anywhere here, you know, I fall into everything, but, you know, what about all of the rest of that? So there.
Well, I fall in the both categories.
Well, we did, because we came in 87 when the Cold War, you know, was kind of at its height there, but and I think we had the same problem, and I literally have to go and sit with her, and we gotta go name by name and review their dates to make sure that if if they're on a monument, they should be on based on those dates, but if they didn't, they fall under what you're talking about, which is what happened when we weren't at war at that time? You're still in the service and you're still making
Well,
it
it's
so
peacetime.
we're not having
Yeah.
war. That's what, the military is designed not for war. It's designed to deter
That's
war.
right.
And so I agree with you 100%, but it's very arduous, and we went through this here. Steve was kind of helping us with some veterans that were identified missing off of our monuments. But we know we're getting them put on there. We had a vote, brought it to the town, they voted for yes, and we're getting an agreement to do that. But your piece there,
Well, I don't think he's looking for individual names, though. I think he's looking for just, like recognition, Cold War veteran recognition, and not have the individual names on it. Just,
Yeah,
just,
yeah, I mean, you can easily have that. You gotta look at,
Yeah.
I mean, the Cold War, definitely, there are dates in there where we weren't doing something.
well, I mean, I started like I was an INF treaty crew guy under Ronald Reagan, flying into Moscow doing silo inspections. That certainly, that's Cold War stuff, you know what I mean? And then when the wall came down, I was involved with the wall coming
Yeah.
down. And then I've been involved with every conflict
Yeah.
since Grenada.
Yeah.
Just about every single one of them.
Right.
So like I said, I would fall into both categories, but I'm not gonna put my name on a plaque someplace.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering where Newbury should, just an opinion of the board on where Newbury should go with this, and we can even add it to another agenda, maybe.
Yeah, I just think that Cold War is a tough one because there's too many, there's no
Post-Cold,
post-Cold War.
there's a post, that's what we were bringing up with Karen, was a, oh, I'm sorry, no, she said Cold War veterans. Yeah, not post-Cold War, so yeah, okay.
So it's,
It's complicated.
It's dangerous.
Memorial have a head of steam, are you saying, Dana, or?
Well, no, I think it's just getting started.
Yeah.
It's just getting started,
I think, I'm so sorry, I think that's a hard to do block unless you want to put people's names on it. I mean, people don't even understand what Cold War even means.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think what she was saying had some merit. If you were going to identify those veterans of the 166 56 veterans now in West Newbury, if I went to all those plaques, I should be able to take the 156 and put them on one of the memorials. If I don't, then I have to look at their dates and say, well, they're Cold War. We weren't in conflict, we had no fighting. So therefore, they fall into that category, so that's why we're not on there. But that's what we're actually doing, exactly what you said, but we're not identifying, we're just making sure that people are identified on one of the monuments, and then we'll come up with an OIF and OEF monument, because we don't have one. Do you guys have one?
I don't know.
I mean,
Even DC, there's
and
gonna
we've got
be,
fight-
they're being organized right now,
Yeah.
there's placement for it, there's a
Yeah.
spot for it.
And we're gonna do it, because we found space, and we found that, we're gonna eventually do that, but now it's my task to go and those, like you
Oh,
said,
I'm glad I
there's no
brought this.
database that
Yeah.
this, you would think this would be easy,
Yeah.
but there isn't a database to go to say,
State, no.
where are they? And it's like, we're literally clicking down, and then he's gotta help me go through, and we gotta look at DD 214s to put some of this together. It is.
And a lot of the lists, they go by county. but like-
It's by county,
Oh,
so
like
it's
even for
more,
example,
even more.
trying to get
difficult,
World
yeah.
War II.
I don't know, I think it's just,
Like,
it's gonna be a tough one,
yeah, that was.
so that's my take on that, and I think it's hard to do block, personally.
That's really all I had, and thanks for the
But
input.
no names makes it easier, Dana.
Right, and I think it's just, there's people that have served in Newbury that don't fall into any of the memorial categories that we currently have.
And I understand, trust me. I understand.
So what if it were to simply say what you were saying before about to all the veterans who have served, are currently serving, and will serve? that cover what you're?
Well, like I was saying, like just to talk about the World War II or even the D-Day veterans or whatever, you know. I think that well, in my personal opinion, I don't wanna take anything away from those particular memorials by throwing everybody on one. You know what I mean? Because I think that the individual memorials that we already have are recognizing specific people in that group, where this new one that Bill is proposing would recognize everybody. And I'm not so sure that I'm on board with that. You know, because I don't want, you know, the D-Day vets and the World War II vets and the Vietnam vets to feel as though that their current memorials are now insignificant. That's all, that's just the thought process in my head, you know?
Yeah, I got you.
I hear you.
We all got a National Defense Service.
That's right.
That's it. I'm the one gets one.
Everybody gets the rainbow. Rainbow color?
Oh, yeah, no, it is, yeah.
You know, I mean,
The first in basic training,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't even burn it, so I just sound like.
I had to miss off my uniform. I had to go to Memorial Day thing, and I wore my uniform for the first time since retirement. And my son had taken it off of my uniform
Oh.
and put it on one of his. I'm like, I'm missing the rainbow. I earned that 36 years ago.
Oh.
Did anybody not get expert marksmanship?
I was in,
Yeah.
all right, next day, anyone got a good day of mind that I can't do, they can do? I specifically do not like Thursdays, that's when my wife works, I'll say that again.
Okay.
Yeah, Thursday's a big golf day.
Well, I think September, right?
Yeah.
Wednesday has been the.
Yeah, Wednesdays are usually really good days.
So when are we looking? September?
Yeah. Yeah.
September.
11th is a Wednesday.
Obviously, in September, I can't remember September. Labor Day is the 2nd. Yeah,
So do you want to start the discussion at the 11th of September?
yeah, how much you
I'm going
got?
at 11,
I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah, 9/11.
What a day.
We have the Essex breakfast in the
I do
morning.
know I have another committee meeting that night.
Okay.
What about the following one, the
The 18th,
18th?
I can do.
The
I can
18th?
do.
I'm
Oh,
clearing the
good.
18th right now.
Got a wedding?
You have a wedding?
No.
Oh, I mean,
On a Wednesday?
You're a photographer.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But people shouldn't be having a wedding on a Wednesday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's a great photographer.
which day was that?
18th September.
Wednesday, September 18th.
Oh, yeah.
That's 6. Yeah, no, it was.
Oh, sorry.
6 or 6:30, because some people like, don't you have your drive? I mean,
It's a Burlington day for me, so
It's
6:30.
6:30, yeah. 6:30.
On the 18th.
On the 18th.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
Ready?
So, Linda, keep me in bounds here. We will adjourn from this meeting.
We will not, we will just go into executive session.
Okay, so we're going to executive session and then adjourn from executive session?
Yes, we will not return to open session.
Joanne.
You need to stop that.
Yes, please.
So our next item is to enter into executive session
We can leave it on for the
For the purpose of,
So,
for the purpose of, to conduct a strategy session in preparation, negotiation with non-union personnel as well as it relates to the VSO.
and not to return to open session. So, you moved it?
Move.
Okay, I seconded it. We have to do a roll call vote.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Dana, yes.
Flynn, yes.